Well, okay. Well, good evening. We have a pretty large group that's flowing in right now. So we apologize for any technical difficulties you may be having. So far, we are seeing everybody clearly. And if anybody is having any issues with audio, please mention in the chat box and we will correct it. Otherwise, I think everybody can hear me okay. Yes?
Mhm.
Great. I'm seeing nodding heads. All right. Well, I want to just welcome you again to the WeGro Coin AMA here on Wednesday, December 29th. We're so excited you're here, and we are glad to be of service tonight. We are going to have our executive team and my co-host in crime, our co-master of ceremonies, Rachel, work with me to make this an enjoyable and pleasant experience. And on that note, we're going to pause about 10 more seconds. I see a bunch of folks piling in here. And then I'm
Awesome.
going to have the proud opportunity to introduce you to our CEO and one of our four co-founders, Mr. Walt Rampada. Love saying your last name, Walt Rampada. I don't know if it's more Italian or Latin or Spanish, but it's fun to say.
Yeah, as long as you get close, I'll still turn around and head that direction. My name is Walt Rampada. I am the CEO of WeGro Coin. We are very excited to have all of you attending tonight. I want to thank you for taking time out of your family schedule, any holiday festivities. Regardless, we're thankful you're taking time and spending it with us. So we're going to have a jam-packed hour this evening where we're going to cover a bunch of different topics. So jam-packed, in fact, that again, you're seeing some new faces. You're seeing Todd and Rachel emceeing for us tonight. Let me take a brief moment and make some introductions to the other members of our team so you know who's speaking tonight and who else is on our executive team. So you've met me, you've met Todd, you've met Rachel, but I'd like to introduce you to, on my screen, just below me, kind of like the Brady Bunch, Sean Crawford. He's our president. He is instrumental to this whole thing we're doing here from the day one. This is in some ways was Sean's baby, so we're very excited to have him a part of the team. Down to my left would be Mr. Rick Gilchrist. Rick comes with an incredible amount of knowledge and expertise, and we're very excited to have him as a part of the team. We'll get into some of the dynamics of where he fits in, but he is currently our acting chief operating officer. So, and to all the way down to the bottom, again, doing the Brady Bunch style on my screen, is our current acting comptroller, Mr. John Berger. John comes to us with an illustrious career in finance, 30 years in the finance industry, and we'll get into. He'll talk some very specifics tonight in the finance area, talking about some of our tokenomics. So without further ado, and understanding we've got a lot to cover tonight, I'm going to pass the mic back to our MCs for the evening and sit back and get ready for the questions. So thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Walt. I'm going to take the first question that we've been getting from our audience, and then afterwards, Rachel, my cohort in crime, will take the second. The general question out there that we're seeing a lot of is really, who is WeGro, and what is WeGro in totality as a business, and the makeup and where we came from and how we became who we are today with our very successful launch last week of our token. And so on that note, Walt, I think I will pass the baton back to you if you would like to take that question. Who is WeGro, Walt?
Great question. And I see in the chat bot or the chat screen that people are saying they can't see the questions. I don't know that we've actually dropped all the questions in the chat screen, but maybe it makes sense to drop them one by one as we ask them, so they're visible as we're talking about them. WeGro is much bigger than the team that you're seeing sitting here in front of you tonight, and we are all in many ways very enamored and excited to be a part of this team, as we do realize that what once was a seed of an idea, pun intended, has now blossomed into something that is much larger than the sum total parts. Initially, the entire focus of WeGro was around how do we offer something that many people are now struggling to get. And at that time, it was, I have in addition to WeGro, I own a full service marketing agency that works only with hemp and cannabis companies. So my living is very much focused on the cannabis industry. Sean, our president, was voted 2018 National CBD Hemp Farmer of the Year at the Indo Expo. So he's no slouch when it comes to cannabis and hemp. And then Rick Gilchrist had, previous to this, been one of the co-founders of a company called New Frontier Data, one of the premier data DSPs in the cannabis space and alternative healthcare for that matter. So we've got a lot of really grassroots, pun intended, hands-on experience in the cannabis industry. And some of that, that initial idea was, how do we give that kind of access to our friends who continually are asking us, how do I invest? How can I get involved? I'm watching this rocket ship, and how do I become a part of it? I don't know where to put my money. The bigger boys that are playing out there are doing it so in a fashion where the fund pools are not accessible to me. How can I get in? I want to be a part of this ride. So that was a part of our focus. And how do we put that back into the hands of the lay people and do so in a fashion where it becomes something where they truly feel a part of the equation. So we had some altruistic parts of why and how we started this. And that's the other part I want our audience to take away, that we're not just the sum total of what we do here at WeGro. We are also a soul, a heartbeat, and a culture. And that is very much a part of who we are as well. That culture, that soul is one of doing good and altruistic in nature and focused on helping our fellow man. So in building WeGro, the focus has always been in very many ways to how do we help the masses? How do we change the dialogue? How do we, again, change the equation so that something we had access to, we can now bring to other people. And since then, it's blossomed into an incredible ecosystem. Without being too vague, and although I have to be in some regards because we are in the process of building an entire organization behind WeGro Coin, our focus was we wanted to provide something, again, if we're to provide that access to everybody, we wanted to provide a venue that had value to it as well. And far too often we saw these, specifically in the crypto space, we saw a lot of shit coins, as they're called, or poo coins, or meme coins, things that intrinsically hold no value other than the value that's perceived by the audience holding them. And those, in many ways, have been kind of a poster child for what crypto finance has looked like for the recent past. And we didn't want that to be the case. That's not who we were. So again, we wanted to change the conversation and come at this from a place where not only we were providing an opportunity to have access into the cannabis supply chain, but behind that, building a portion of value that supports this investment that people are making. So that's us in a nutshell. I'm going to pass the mic because I want to get some of the I do want to hear from Sean specifically on this question about who is WeGro, because he was the impetus for all of us sitting here today. So I want to pass because he's got some energy in him that is just too contagious to not let out. So I'm going to pass the mic to him.
Yeah, thank you, Walt. And Sean, before you start, I just wanted to also let you know that moving into the next question that we've seen over the course of the last week, it's about tokenomics. So if you could continue on that note, that would be great. And I think Rachel will have the next question after that.
Sure. And thanks, Walt. I appreciate that. That's very kind. But, this is extended way past me and the idea that we had, over the summer to beginning of the summer to get this up and going. It's kind of evolved to something much bigger now. Before I get into that, Todd, if you could, can you drop the AMA link in Telegram for people? I just want to make sure that everyone's able to get in. There is some requests for that link in Telegram. So
absolutely, Sean, you got it.
Yeah, thank you. So, okay, so yeah, WeGro started out as a thought process on how we could include people in the cannabis business that didn't have an inroad into it already, and how the benefits of being the grower or being the producers could benefit the holder somehow. And what started with some rough ideas evolved into something that we felt better than actually touching the plant itself. Because, when you touch the plant, there's so many legal restrictions there. If we wanted to list on certain exchanges, places where cannabis was prohibited, we might have had problems listing on those exchanges. So to have a wider audience, and also too, there's actually, believe it or not, there's more money in the supply chain than there is than the actual hands-on business itself. Because rain, sleet, or snow, they have to, the cannabis companies they have to pay the rent, they have to buy the packaging, they have to get the data to understand what it is they should be growing in order to be profitable. There's so many ways in which the cannabis and hemp industry operates that are really just majorly dependent on the supply chain. So that's where we decided to focus our efforts. And we wanted to do it in a way in which it wasn't necessarily the business itself that benefited the holder, but from the expanded ecosystem, that it was a byproduct of us acquiring these businesses, that they were going to be transacting in WeGro. The volume would go up because the transactions would be happening in WeGro. It was a better way for us to manage our books. Everything is transparent on the blockchain. We can see every transaction. So it was the smartest inroad for us to benefit the holder by, like I said, expanding the ecosystem. And then, from that expansion, there's further benefits, which I'll let Rick get into. But to circle back to the question on tokenomics, it's a 5% redistribution in the form of BNB, and then 1% directly into liquidity on Pancake. And then the remaining 2% goes into a wallet in which we use it to expand the ecosystem of WeGro to acquire cannabis supply chain businesses, and use the settling transactions and the expansion of the use of WeGro to benefit the holder in the form of buying more WeGro, which inevitably puts more money back into the liquidity, raising the relative price floor. So that was kind of how it all started and evolved, and how we decided to use those tokenomics to benefit the holder. It evolved well past that, though, with the introduction of data, anonymous data mining, which is where I'll turn it over to Rick to maybe elaborate a little bit more about how we're using anonymous data mining to also benefit the holder, and where that comes into play.
Sure, and I can jump on that. I know we have some other questions related to where we're going, so I won't get too deep in it. But the one thing that is been tantamount in building out this ecosystem is building something that democratizes data. So we're looking at this from multiple perspectives, from you, the user, from the businesses, and from those that need that data. So in what we're building, we're able to anonymize yet personalize the data that it's being mined through the transactions. But in our phase 2, building out a permissive data sharing blockchain operating system. This is going to be able to provide both monetization and utility. When we talk about data and how it propagates, you are the product when you're using Google. You're the product when it comes to using Facebook. Data is being collected on you when you're using your home devices as well. But these companies are profiting off of your data. We're democratizing that in a way that we're allowing you to license your own data. You choose how to share that or license it. You choose the utility for how you would utilize that data. And I'll give you a good use case. You want to store your data for your vaccines. You've been vaccinated, you've got your booster, you're storing that data in the blockchain in addition to a negative COVID test. And you're just going to share that information with the airport authority. That's a utility to where now you're going to the airport, it's been shared to them. They already know that you have been vaccinated, that you have a negative COVID test. You can get on that plane, get off of that other airport, and all that information is shared. no differently than if you just wanted to share the data for, say, your finances for applying for a mortgage. And you could just share that data, your complete mortgage package for an application with 6 different organizations all at once, without crossing any of those data streams whatsoever. That's the utility behind you being able to share your own data. Add another layer to that. I want to get paid for my data now. I would like to, I actually don't mind sharing the fact that I spend X amount of time online, that these are the products that I'm purchasing in store and through commerce. I would love to tell you that I go to Starbucks 3 days a week at 4 o'clock and spend this amount of money, but keep my personally identifiable data mine. Let me go ahead and explain to you who I am and how you can either market better to me, how you can benefit from what I'm using and what I'm interacting with and transacting with. But on an even deeper level, especially as it relates to our industry, it can go one step further for monitoring your health, storing your patient data, your medical records, being able to share those records directly with your providers and actually be able to store your alternative wellness data along with your traditional medical data. And that's something that nobody's been able to do up to this point. And we now know that the big dogs out there, the Athenas, the Epics, the Dr. Chronoses, even those in the cannabis industry like Healy, they are purposely making sure that they're creating more robust records that they want to eventually push to the blockchain. Who are they going to go with at that point? Are they going to get on ETH and spend tons of money on gas for proof of work? Or are they going to go with some universal operating system that allows interoperability between individuals and businesses and those that are utilizing that kind of ecosystem? And that's why we're positioning ourselves specifically to be right at the nexus of that. So we're able to provide that utility and be able to put that data back in your hands to monetize it. And I know it wasn't a question for me, but I want to give the impact of this. As a single data record, that data record, just knowing there's a person that's doing something can be worth, a fraction of a cent. You attach an email address to that, you attach a phone number to it. It's now worth a couple pennies, maybe even a couple dollars if you know one other piece of information attached to that. You start adding a transaction or a loyalty program, an interaction, a like or a dislike, the applications they're using, census data, age, race, gender, all of that built into that. That starts building more and more of a framework around that individual. And that went from a couple cents to a couple dollars, and from a couple dollars to anywhere between $9 and $85 for consumer marketing and for brokering. If you're a patient, that patient data that's still highly anonymized but not personally identifiable is anywhere between $400 and $4,000. And that's the data that the FDA is using to support the clinical trials. They're looking at research. Pharmaceutical companies and providers are looking at to verify therapies. They're utilizing data around the surveys for self-reported data on top of that. So in essence, it becomes extremely valuable for you to control your data and be able to license it yourself. On average, there are roughly 270 data brokers right now. If one consumer were to license their data, each one of those brokers at the lowest cost average of that data once every 45 days, you're looking at $113,000 per consumer if you sold your data one time. So that's the magnitude and the value of that. Now, why not be remunerated for that in the form of WeGro tokens?
Rick, what you're really saying is that there's a huge opportunity to disrupt the current model when it comes to data aggregation and data distribution. It's tremendous. It's one of the things that we believe that will really sustain our business model. Yes? Correct.
In the end, the data will be much more valuable than even the transactions or the programmatics around the token and the coin that will be coming off of that blockchain.
And Rick, is there any limitation to the verticals and the industries out there that would take advantage of such data services when it comes to anonymity and having such a revolutionary approach to data?
While we're focusing initially on this cannabis industry and cannabis supply chain, as well as alternative wellness, no, there's no limitation, because the reality is that the partners that are already committing to us aren't in cannabis. They're in payment processing, they're in merchant services, they're in technology and point of sale, they're in data collection themselves. They're in retail, having nothing to do with this whatsoever, but they know they need to take their system into the blockchain. We have a remote patient monitoring app that is extremely exciting to me, that I see how this can really affect people seeing whether or not their treatments are effective and being able to correlate that to the transactions behind them. And again, it's not limited by one specific industry, because this is the data that everybody's looking to. Lowe's, Home Depot for new retail. You're looking at everything on the marketing side for understanding supply chain. What are people using that's the most effective? That then starts trickling back to what should dispensaries or clinics have on their shelves. That goes back to what should be manufactured, what should be put in the ground, all the way back to what type of nutrients should be supplied to the cultivator to get the right product that eventually ends up on the shelf in a medicine cabinet.
It's almost as if there's really no market barriers. Well, thank you, Rick. And for the sake of time, we have other questions. And by the way, to the audience out there, please go ahead and post your questions in the chat box. What we're focusing on right now are questions that have arisen over the last 2 weeks that have been popular and often repeated. So that's why we are approaching these topics at this time. And so I see all your questions out there, and I'm going to address them. And Rachel,
we're also getting questions in Telegram, Todd,
yes,
just so you're aware.
I noticed that right now. And Rachel has I'm going to hand the baton to Rachel. I think there's a question that's been often repeated about reflections that our Comptroller John Berger and head of analytics is going to talk about. Rachel, can you address that, please?
Tell me about reflections. Sorry, I can't see the list. Tell me all about it.
Is that me?
Yeah, John, if you could address what are the question that's come in over the wire is, what are reflections and why are they important, John?
Well, reflections are something that, as you hold WeGro in your wallet, come back to you as people buy and sell. As people buy and sell in the marketplace, that tax that people are paying to buy and sell this product goes back to the 5% of that tax goes back to all the holders. Everyone that holds WeGro in their wallet gets what they call reflections. The interesting part is we've come up with a new concept that a lot of coins like SafeMoon have reflected back in their own coins. The problem is most people do like to cash out or take their dividends, as some people call it, or their interest, or whatever you want to call it, and either buy more of whatever stock you like, cash it out, buy groceries, do whatever you want with it. It's your money. The thing we came up with, the one idea we did come up with was we wanted to do it into a stable coin. We did not want to do it back into our own coin because it would almost force you to push down the WeGro coin by selling some of it. And we kind of wanted to not only alleviate that, but we also wanted to push it into what, as most of you all know, is a stable coin, either Bitcoin, Ether, or BNB. Those are the main riders in the marketplace. And the kicker is this. You know, it's small amounts that trickles in every time the router pushes out these buys and sells, and that percentage comes back to you. It's small amounts of BNB that add up. Over time, you end up with, let's say, 0.25, 0.5, or even a whole BNB, which is great because you're getting back in today's dollars and a stable coin that you can easily transfer to cash, USD Tether, whatever, put back in your bank account. Now, the interesting part about that is a year ago today, that same BNB coin, which doesn't use much gas to produce as far as send or transfer or exchange for that matter, was marketing right around $33 per coin, okay, which is nice. So if you said, hey, you know, I'm going to put one BNB in your wallet, great, you got $33 in reflections. But if also you had held that one BNB to one, like right now as we speak, and I'll look it up as I'm talking to you,
BNB is selling for $514 a token. So that $133 token you had last year in your wallet, because you held the WeGro, is now $513 in real world dollars. Same thing going forward. So not only do you benefit by keeping the WeGro in your wallet, you're getting the returns or reflections in an actual stable, or the closest thing to a dollar stable coin you're going to find in the crypto world, which actually has, as you noticed, $33 versus $513 for the same coin a year later. It's a pretty good appreciation. I'm sure most people would take that. So in other words, just give you a quick math lesson. Like, let's say you had 10 BNB last year from your reflections. You were sitting with $333. That's great. You're all excited. $333. That now times those 10 tokens by that 513. That's over $5,000 just from your reflections 1 year later. So from your WeGro, to give you an idea. So that's why we chose the way we did. And that's why we have the tokenomics, the way they're designed, that most of the holders benefit. And the other 1%, which is great, since you're a holder anyway, goes right back into liquidity and pushes up the price floor.
John, if I could ask you a follow-up question, because this has been posed to me multiple times, especially for the unbanked and those that are utilizing and skipping over banking directly to mobile devices that are using crypto to transact. It's been proposed that this actually could solve universal basic income just by creating your own wealth on something like this. And for those that are getting in now, you're looking at building that with that snowball effect.
Yes, that's correct. Well, that's correct, because of the fact you got to remember, you're buying WeGro at today's market prices. You're getting reflections at today's market BNB prices. These things, like I said a year ago, anyone would be glad at $33 for one BNB. You turn around and look at that today, that's 513. And that's also what our platform is based upon. So you got to also realize that that's why when some people see that the actual percentage or the day, as far as the number on WeGro, as far as the price, we are reflective against BNB. So keep in mind, when BNB does go down, WeGro goes down with the market, just like every other coin does too. So it's not necessarily WeGro, it's the actual marketplace, especially today. I don't know if a lot of you are aware of that, but the marketplace is a little bit of a red spot for all the major coins.
Thank you. Thank you, John. I want to pass the baton over to Rachel.
Hey, I hate to interrupt you, but I would love to use this opportunity just to address the tokenomics. I know some people were having trouble seeing the smart chain showing up in their wallet. They weren't seeing it. And that has to do with the amount of WeGro that you hold. And for the best explanation of that, Justin, I see that you're on here. Would you mind explaining to everyone how the tokenomics in our code works and how that's remediated to everyone?
Thank you for that, Sean. Absolutely, very timely. Justin, take it away, please.
Yeah, so if you and apologize if my voice goes on me, I'm still battling COVID a little bit here, and I'm almost through the end of it. But with the way that our token works, if you look into your wallet, if you actually hook up your wallet to BSC scan, you'll be able to see that you have what's called a WeGro token, and then you have a WeGro DVT token, which has no value to it. That's your dividend tracker. And that way the contract works is it's going to interact exactly with that DVD tracker to tell you exactly what percentage that you own of those reflections. So if I own 10% of the circulating supply of the coins and $100,000 in reflections come through in a single day, I get 10% of that because I own 10% of the coins. So it tracks it exactly that way. I know we've had a couple people that are saying, why I don't see any reflections just yet. You have to hold at least 100,000 tokens, which is not a huge sum. It's, I think as of today's price, it's right around $20 or $30 you'd have to buy, essentially around maybe like $200, $230 you'd have to buy to get to that amount based on current price. And the reason why is at 100,000 tokens, you own like 0.0001% of the total circulating supply. And if $100,000 of daily volume came through, there'd be $5,000 in reflections, and you get 0.0001% of that. So you're getting like 5 cents is your reflections. That pretty much gets eaten up by the gas. So rather than just burning BNB in the process, the contract has it so you have to at least hold 100,000 tokens. But once you have that 100,000 tokens, you've established your position, And I think one of the announcements that we'll probably make in a little bit, people always ask us about the burn and when are we going to do the burn? And we're going to be doing some significant burns. And what burns are going to do is it's going to reduce that circulating supply so that your percentage that you own is going to increase organically over time, even without buying any more tokens. And so those reflections, then you're going to start seeing more and more coming through, even if you're only getting, pennies or dollars at this rate right now. And so that's where we're telling everybody that's the long-term value of holding reflection tokens, is you're establishing your position when the price to get in is really relatively cheap over time. And as that price goes up and more volume is coming through from buys and sells from other people trying to establish their positions, you've already then established this amount of supply that you've taken on, and you're going to get that respective amount in reflections. So that's how the contract works. It's done automatically. You don't have to connect to adapt. You don't have to pay any gas fees when you want to collect. It organically just happens over time. As the router hits different volume marks, it pushes it out, and it does it in batches. So it doesn't send it out to everybody at once. We don't want to burn those tokens in the process. So we tell everybody, hey, just be patient. Like, you might have bought 5 minutes ago. You're probably not going to see any reflections immediately unless we had an insane amount of volume in buys and sells. So come back, check it. What I would say is take a screenshot of your wallet, look at it tomorrow. You'll probably see a little bit in reflections the next day.
Thank you, Justin, for that. I do need to right now have Rachel weigh in. Rachel, our co-MC, had a very pertinent question regarding what about if cannabis goes legal, will people be compelled to keep using WeGro? And that's an important component when it comes to the supply chain part of the business model of WeGro. Rachel, feel free right now if you could voice your question and then provide leadership for the next couple questions.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, you kind of did a good job summarizing my question. I think all of us are like, well, gosh, if we get all used to using this coin for our cannabis purchases and then it goes federally legal, do we care? Like, can't we just use money then? So Rick, I was going to ask you, you and I have had this conversation. What do you think is going to happen if it goes legal in the next 18 months?
So that's a good question. So many ways to kind of like dissect that. We can look at this from a couple different perspectives. One being the merchant services side of it. The other being how the supply chain is actually affected. When you look at this right now, what the powers that be, and I'll just say those that are associated with the federal government, they're already lining things up for compliance. They're lining up the framework in which to be able to manage a federal program. I don't see that happening in 18 months, more likely somewhere between that and 7 years before something like that would actually roll out completely. But in the meantime, you also have a lot of these organizations, companies, banks, merchant services providers out there that are really gearing up for something like this. It's kind of why we're also in a really unique position, being at that nexus between crypto and cannabis, and already having those mechanics in place to be able to support a transaction at the point of sale. I don't see I see us being able to be ahead of that game as it relates to that. But I see a lot of other organizations being able to take advantage of the fact that there are ways of being able to utilize crypto to purchase your cannabis. And I think that's where we can kind of like come in and facilitate that. And especially when you look at not only utilizing a token, but a coin with security based around it, that's going to be a lot more effective. On top of that, we're still talking about the fact that we have all these ERPs, point of sales, track and trace systems that are still falling short. And having a track and trace system that naturally would allow a tracking at provenance or seeing every single thing along that chain is absolutely imperative versus seeing a net effect in a relational database. What that means is in a relational database, you can change things around and you just see what you want to see. That's why so much of the industry is a little bit muddy because there's a lot of garbage in these systems. People are put things into their ERP or their point of sale just to stay compliant, not knowing why numbers didn't match out. They didn't know why when a bud tender, initially sold 5 grams and then they actually only gave them half a gram, that 4.5, did that 4.5 actually go into the pocket of the bud tender? Was it actually still in inventory? Was it completely backed out of the system? Because that relational database only shows the net effect of a half a gram was sold. In a blockchain, you're looking at being able to see every single thing that happened, back to the track and trace of utilizing RFID chip, using barcodes, proximity, inventory management, when you're putting it in the system, when somebody's scanning it, versus trying to just edit out a quantity or something like that. So this is going to be extremely valuable as you look at this long term for, one, keeping everybody honest, but two, being able to make data-driven decisions that will affect how legalization actually rolls out.
That's awesome. Thank you. So this is basically creating a closed loop ecosystem that lets you sell your data, buy and sell cannabis, be able to see who's buying your product. So it kind of does everything. So if money comes into the play further on, it's kind of too late. This already does everything.
Well, and to be clear, it's not just cannabis payments that we're talking about.
Well, and let's be clear, you can't buy cannabis.
Correct.
I'm sorry, I got too excited.
No, I know it gets us all excited. It's one of the reasons we're here. But truthfully, it's the supply chain. We're focused on the businesses that actually feed, and pun intended, the plant-based or plant touching.
That's important.
There are more vendors coming online that will figure out ways in which to be able to compliantly accept crypto as payment, and we expect to be one of those cryptos that are using for payment at that time. But in the meantime, it's great for everyday payments, which will actually equate to larger volume than just cannabis anyway, and allow a chance for the community to remediate themselves for a wider expanse of data, not necessarily just confined to cannabis. And I think I want to stress that more than anything is that we aim to be an everyday payment solution, not just cannabis, not just hemp. They are benefiting from the expansion of the ecosystem from us supporting a cannabis supply chain and hemp supply chain businesses. And they get to be a part of the industry in that fashion, but they're actually being remediated for more data and are in more profitable, are benefits of more profitable businesses than just people who handle the plant.
And if I could jump on that for just a moment, I want to back up something specific to this equation. As we start to understand the mechanics of some of what we're putting together with our ecosystem, we're starting very specifically and myopically focused on the cannabis industry and the hemp industry and psilocybin eventually to let the cat out of the bag. Alternative healthcare as a general set. And we're starting there because, number one, that's an area that all of us have in-depth expertise. But mind you, all of us, anybody for that matter, within the cannabis industry 10 years ago was doing something completely different. This industry is extremely new. And the vets, 10 years ago, were operating in a completely different industry, a record industry, a food industry, a clothing industry, a banking industry. But the vets that are playing in this space, then you're looking at some of those, we were doing something different and have a lot of outside industry knowledge that we bring to the space. And it's our understanding that if we focus on the hardest thing first, if we master that, the other industries that are more traditional and knowledge-based that we have from lots of history is something we're going to easily as a team, or more easily than most because of our knowledge base, be able to traverse. So true to form, we're taking on the big elephant first. We're trying to do the hardest thing first. If we can solve this problem for humanity, then we can solve the easier problems behind it.
Well, thank you, Walt, for that. The foundation is going deep, very, very deep, so that what we truly have is something sustainable. But on that note, because everybody took their precious time, we have 20 minutes and we have a ton of questions that are flowing in across the board. Rachel, if you would like to go to the Q&A box as well as the chat box and go back to the beginning. Feel free. I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at. Walt, Sean, Rick, and John, and Justin, and God bless you, Justin, for being here. Our prayers for your speedy healing are with you, brother. And AJ and Steve, we have a very robust panelist board, and we have a ton of questions. So I'm going to ask everybody to be succinct and brief, but we want to get through all the questions so no one feels left out. Rachel, if you can go back to the top of Q&A and take the very next question that was unaddressed, please.
Looking.
Beautiful.
All right, can we do an AMA that is for more newbies to crypto? For everyone that might be bored, can we go way basic?
Walt, why don't you take that?
Yes, and more yes. Now,
Thank you.
If you understand, again, going back to the heart and soul of the company, we're here to help change the dynamics for humanity in some fashion. So the heart of that is, educating, getting people to a place where they understand the things that are foreign to them, and it can make a judgment, an educated judgment, and how to act on that. So true to form, we will be starting a 101 type series as a part of our resource library. They will be AMA webinar style settings, and we'll do them for small groups. We'll do them for larger groups. We're going to do them as often as we're going to start to fill up, class sizes, so to speak, and start to get people understanding some of the basics about, how do I get a wallet? How do I transact a fiat into my wallet? At that point, how do I look to then maybe purchase, some coins, some crypto, some tokens, and how do I go through that process? And when things stall and things get held up, because they do, because we're in an interesting world at the moment, how do I not be afraid that my money's lost to the ether? How do I know that I'm doing this properly? So these are lots of the questions that we're getting, and we feel the community because, again, anybody that's in this space is a couple of even shorter period of time ago was doing something a little bit different. So, we even in the space have learned not too long ago, and it's not years and years and years ago. We ourselves have gone through these processes not too distantly ago, and want to be able to share that experience in a fashion where the layperson feels comfortable taking these steps.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Because I will say, as a woman in cannabis, there is not enough lady power, and there's got to be some men, and you guys are the men to come in and go like, you know what? It's a we grow together, not them and us. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I really, really do.
We do have a female partner too who is not on here tonight, but yes.
I just want to, there's a couple questions in there that have been asked about. If you send WeGrow tokens to another wallet, that wallet will be able to receive reflections. Yes, that wallet will be able to receive reflections. You can send it directly. However, keep in mind, you're going to pay the 8% tax by sending that transaction. Also, one question on the tokenomics. See that, Sean, about how long before we burn down the 420 and a counter on the website?
Well, guys, we're going to do 1 billion New Year's at midnight. It's kind of celebratory. And, the guys, the reason why we didn't do it all at once right in the beginning is we're allowing more people to get in and more people to benefit from the increased tokenomics, allowing them to establish their position, allowing the people that believe in us to benefit from that. And so we that was the whole idea and goal. It really always kind of got to me that people burned it right away, and I understand doing it because that big wallet looming over everyone. I know that can be scary, but we know who we are, and we know we're doing burns to get that down. And I think that most of the community here does know who we are and can benefit from that as well. So getting in now, establishing your position now, so as those burns happen, you'll start to see that benefit.
Rachel, why don't you take the next question in the chat box?
Okay, I'm grabbing Kyle Knowles, which says, what are the plans to move towards other, maybe more user-friendly exchanges to help with all how do I buy issues? Obviously, Coinbase doesn't use BNB, but they make it easy. So as an example.
Sure. Can I take this one as well? I don't mean to keep talking, except to say that we are working on a solution for that now. to be able to buy a little bit easier with a US based payment processor that will allow more of your debit card transactions to go through. I know that's been a problem because a lot of times banks will put a halt on it since Simplex and MoonPay are over in Europe. And so those solutions don't really work for everyone or for every card. And I know that's been a bit of a barrier to entry there. So we hope to have some progress on that. I don't want to give a time frame, but we are literally working on that right now. People are coding something for us to allow us to use an American-based payment processor to start processing those payments for you a little bit easier. As far as other exchanges are concerned, we have applied for a few and we're working through that process. So expect new exchanges coming. We will definitely release information as that comes down the pike, and expect to hear some things relatively soon.
Awesome. And can someone put in the chat how they hook up their wallet? Okay, so I'm just going to read it. Rick Klein says, I missed something. How do we hook our wallet up to this thing, which will let us see the reflections as they come in? Can someone put in the chat where they can check that?
Yeah, Justin,
Yeah.
can you help field this? Thank you.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little complicated. I'd rather probably type this one out and post it in Telegram and our other socials where you can interact directly with the contract and see what exactly your wallet has accumulated in token reflections before those reflections actually hit. It's a little complicated for, again, we want to make things simpler for newbies. So that's why I always say I liked this way we did it with the contract rather than going to adapt where you have to manually hook your wallet up to a website and manually claim it and pay another fee. With this contract, you really just sit back and you don't have to do anything. And those reflections will just come to you over time as those batches come through. But there is a way that you can go manually into the contract and you can go on via CScan. You can go into Dex Tools and you can click the contract link. It's just a little bit more complicated and there's multiple steps to it. So, but I'll type that up. So if people want to do that and they can see, hey, I'm owed, $20 or $30 or whatever it is before that reflection batch hits, like you can physically go into the contract. So we'll have that written up for you.
Okay, Rick, it's on its way.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Okay, we have another couple of questions here. Rach, you want to take the next one in the Q&A box?
Oh, go ahead. I'm goofing off and looking at all the questions at once. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh, no problem. I see one here that I'm not as familiar with. Rick Klein, so I want to understand if I'm using my Kroger card to create data that I can get paid.
That's a little far down the road, Todd. I think that's a little, we'll come to that as we get down the road. I don't think that's even applicable right now.
Right, no, I
I
understand.
love the question, but yeah, that would be getting too deep into our phase 3.
Well, thank you,
Rick,
gentlemen.
you're too smart.
I was going to elaborate on that, but thank you so much.
Actually, I've got a question that came up here in Telegram.
Perfect.
And I think it's a good softball for the team. Will WeGro build their own blockchain in the future and become a coin, or will it stay as a token?
Kind of the easiest question on tonight. The answer is yes. I'll let John and Sean talk about what happens with the token, but what we're building is our own blockchain. It is a crossover system that will allow for interoperability, low gas, that will be able to be connected and use a black box schema as well. That means that companies will not have to have relationships with each other, that we can be the connector between the two of them, or being able to do validation of transactions and proof of work.
Nice. Hey,
And a
Todd,
follow-up question to that, I think, is another law, but I think it bears explaining. So I'm going to follow it up with, do we have revenue streams lined up that we can talk about today? And I'll start with answering yes, in the form of the partnerships that we've already disclosed on our website. So for starters, if you're new to WeGro, check out our website. Be sure to check back there regularly. We are doing updates on a daily basis to the site. adding new content, adding new additional functionality, and any of the most current information we're going to try to display there first. So specific to the partners that we have already in our ecosystem, we have a number that are displayed on our site. Everybody from Tetragram, medical journaling application that is I don't want to speak to the actual numbers, but there's lots of people nationally that are now utilizing Tetragram to help them with their medical cannabis journey and how to navigate that journey. So I urge you to check out the Tetragram app on the App Store. They are one of the revenue streams that it will be connecting to our system. And I say revenue, but in some fashions, it's not true revenue in that they're a part of the data ecosystem that will be connecting to our organization, and through it providing the revenues to our coin holders or token holders. Additionally, we have companies like the Davison Brothers Band, who has the largest country western music festival conceivably in the globe. Right now in the U.S., but quite frankly, where else is there major country music? I mean, I'm not putting down Australia because there's a big
two #1 songs in Australia. Yeah, that's the #1 genre. So yeah, Davison Brothers Band and go ahead, Walt. I'll let you.
Yeah, as you can see, we're excited about that partnership. They will be offering WeGro as a form of payment at their upcoming festivals, and they're a longtime friend of the team here and a longtime partner. So we look forward to interesting ways that we're going to be utilizing that partnership and bringing some benefits to the WeGro community. And I won't go continually on about all the partnerships you can go and check out on our website. Just note that we have a lot in the works in the forms of things that are connecting into our system, that we're lining up, that are going to be a part of our ecosystem, part of our blockchain, and part of our future roadmap in phase 2 and phase 3. And all that stuff is, a good portion of it is currently outlined in our light paper. If you check out our light paper on our website, we're in the process of furthering that paper out to become a white paper. So there'll be more details forthcoming in the weeks to come. So give us a little bit of time. We got lots of other things that we're working on, but there'll be more details about, those revenue streams, how they connect, and how this ecosystem is going to be put on the rails, so to speak, as we go.
But to speak to the community and their achievements, guys, we've already raised more than around $52,000 to go towards our first acquisition, and that's not bad for a little over 10 days being released now, so under 2 weeks. So that puts us in line to buy some pretty wonderful businesses to help expand that ecosystem, to start putting those revenue streams back into the token. So we are getting close. We actually have a few queued up that we will start discussing with the community, not in this AMA, but soon. And I think everyone's going to love what we have to say there, and the type of revenue that we can put back into the token with these streams. I think everyone's going to be extremely pleased. So.
Thank you, Sean. We do have another question I wanted to address. Kyle Knoll was asking about plans to move towards other, quote, friendlier exchanges to help with the how do I buy issues. And so on a housekeeping note there, obviously Coinbase doesn't use BNB, but they make it easy to use that as an example. John, would you like to address that?
We just answered, Sean just answered that.
Okay,
just
great.
Took that question.
How about a relationship with Arculus? Philip wants to know. Will you have a relationship with Arculus?
Kind of handle this. Love the idea. Love the hardware aspect and the offline cold storage online capability. But we've actually been introduced to a provider that is utilizing similar hardware that has an integration with not only the near field communication chip and low E, but also an ability to store your standard merchant services card data like your Visa and MasterCard into one programmable card. In addition, you can even have it work to be scanned by point-to-point hardware, meaning that somebody else that has that same card or somebody that has a mobile phone can also use their NFC chip to be able to exchange data as well as do a transaction between the two. So it's a pretty next gen Web 3.0 stuff. We're excited to explore that opportunity. I think it's beyond what Arculus is at right now. So it's exciting to be potentially partnered up with this company for a longer term play.
Philip wants to know who it is.
Under NDA.
Sorry, Philip. All right. What's the minimum amount you can put in?
Into WeGro?
You can
Yeah.
buy one WeGro if you want.
You
What?
could.
So someone who has 20 bucks could participate.
No, one WeGro would cost you a penny.
Yeah. Well, with transaction fees, it might bring it up to $2.01 or something, you know.
You can buy as low as one. Any
You might as
denomination.
well buy 10.
Yeah.
All right. So all us nervous Nellies who are learning how to do this, we don't have to put $1 zillion in. We can put like 20 bucks in.
Well,
can.
that's the nice thing with B&B gas is it's as down as low as 23 cents to $1.73 to 43 cents to 46 cents transactions. It's very low. So anytime with B&B, you want to do a test. You want to try and do a small test, run a couple coins, see how the transactions go. Same thing with transferring. You got to remember, that's the reason we picked this platform. Because, you know, if you do this thing with Ether, if you do this with Ethereum, you could lose. I mean, the gas fees are through the roof. I mean, a couple $100 sometimes. You can't take those chances. So with B&B is very nice is the fact that you can do a couple test buys. You can do if you're sending to another wallet, just do a very small amount because anyone that I'd rather lose, 43 cents or even $1 in gas than $20 worth of product or $15 worth of product. So anyone, look, it is very intimidating at times and it gets a little bit overwhelming. And yes, we're going to try to move things to make it much more efficient. And there are blocks getting into the crypto world. One thing I will tell people is this: we are directly a Binance coin. In America, there's an exchange called Binance.us. They do season your funds for 10 days. I will tell you that up front. And you will have to jump through a few hoops to get on. Driver's license, all that type of stuff is called Know Your Customer. You have to do that. But the nice part is once you're on Binance, I can send B&B anywhere within seconds. I can transfer it to my wallet. I can send it anywhere back and forth, turn it into Tether, turn it into anything I want. Okay, so it's a nice part about it is you eliminate all these frustrations a lot of you are going through with these wallet and buying through the credit cards and having the Simplex and MoonPay provider. Yes, they will season your account for 10 days. I will guarantee you that. The other thing you also want to keep in mind with Binance, okay, is keep the amount of balance on hand that you want to be able to transfer. In other words, if you want to transfer $2,000 of B&B around, and then eventually you want to put that back in your bank account, let's say, if you put that, once you transfer that out and you bring it back in, they're going to season you again to take it back out. So if you maintain a running balance in Binance, you will not have that problem, just so you know. So these are a few things that I've been hearing from the community as far as problems, issues with the buying and trying to alleviate that. The nice part about the credit card is, yes, it's a quick, instant thing. The fees are a little high, but it's a quick transaction. But Binance is a 10-day exchange, but it's very, very user-friendly. It's very, very safe and secure. And it's a very, very easy way of transferring crypto because they will even help you if you can't find your crypto and it's lost.
Love it.
That's
Okay,
very
I have a bonus question because we're almost done. Who should you give your 14 code names out to? If someone says, give me your 14
12.
code
well,
words, who do you give it to?
Your seed
This
phrase
is-
is
this-
nobody.
Never,
you.
never,
Say it again.
ever, ever. Anyone that ever asks you for your 12-digit code, they are trying to take your wallet.
Thank you.
Do never give up that 12-digit code to any human being, period. I don't care what they tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
I don't care what they say to you or what they tell you. We need to help you. We're trying to fix you. We're trying to track your wallet. We need this to be able to tell if this is going through. Anything they're going to tell you. If they ask for your 12-digit code, you have it's a fraud. Period. No one will ever ask for that.
I know someone lost some money. It was sad to watch because I almost got
On top of that too, our team is never going to ask you to connect your wallet to any external server or website. Those are exactly the same thing as giving your 12-digit seed phrase away. Is if you connect to these outer exchanges, these other dApps, your seed phrase gets instantly taken and they wipe out your wallet within seconds. So none of us are ever going to direct message you and ask for any specifics in that regard of give us your 12-word seed phrase, or you need to connect to this link to be able to verify a transaction. We can do that by just looking at your wallet address, which is something that we can look just in the holder list to verify if you're having issues with things. That's the only thing we will ever ask you for, is give us your wallet address, not your seed phrase, just the wallet address, which is, again, it's out there anyways, but that's how we can then go through the blockchain and actually see if you're having an issue with the transaction.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for that. We're almost out of time, and I just placed our general email address in the chat box. If anybody would like to follow up, have any questions whatsoever for our executive team, for Justin, for Rachel, myself, anybody, please send them to info@wegrocoin.com. And without further ado, before we close, I've been seeing, Walt, 5 questions now, just general questions about marketing. And our CEO is also head of our marketing team and our messaging campaign. And Walt, would you mind sharing a few words about some of the exciting things that we're planning on the marketing front to close us out?
Yes, I'm happy to share. And what I'll start by saying is that our marketing, many people have made note that our marketing hasn't started. And I will tell you that our marketing has been full force in operation for the last 2 months, starting to seed the water, starting to do things in the background, starting to help build the community, start to build the groundswell of organic community building that in many ways will be the foundation for everything we do moving forward. So the marketing has started in just that very basic regard. Additionally, we are in high gear when it comes to producing educational content. We talked about our educational series that's going to be coming up. We've talked about in past AMAs our ambassador program, and that's something that I'm very excited that the 2 people on either side of me and my camera, Todd and Rachel, are heading up for us. So we've got a very interesting thing we're putting together with our ambassador program. More details to come. We'll be working to construct the mechanics of how that's all going to operate over the coming days. So within the next couple of weeks, we'll have more details about that. Additionally, we have some amazing members that are joining our team and some incredible stories behind those that I'm very excited to share about. So we are actually, as we speak, in the process of putting pen to paper and crafting press releases and talking with reporters and talking with publication staff that has heard bits and pieces of what we're trying to accomplish and has already expressed interest to talk about us in some major platforms. So you'll start to see press that's going to start to come out over the coming weeks. And again, very excitedly, because we're going to be talking about some cool things happening with our team. Cool things happening with our tech, cool things happening with partners. So all that stuff's going to be coming out from a press perspective. And then on top of that, we are in the process right now of spending a lot of money towards media buys and actually communicating with audiences on a mass scale. Some of that was dependent on the community that we have. We needed some of the groundswell to get us to a place where the exchanges would say, hey, you're a real coin. And now we're getting to that place where the groundswell of our holders, and the more we get in, the more they recognize, the more they validate us. So thank you from a community perspective. Please bring more friends and family, because the faster we get that community built, the faster we increase our holders, the faster we increase our exposure. And it creates this snowball from being able to then be recognized on the exchanges and then be able to advertise on those exchanges on a mass scale and communicate to much larger audiences. So please help us to continue that momentum. Please help to continue to build the community, bring additional friends in. And as we've stated multiple times throughout this AMA, and we're here for the people. So we're here to help you. We're here to help your friends. We're here to help you get through this process. Email us at info@wegrocoin.com. or hit us up in each of our relative social media channels. Telegram, please join our Telegram group, join our Facebook group. We're on Twitter, we're on Discord, we're on Reddit. Please check out all those platforms, upvote us on Reddit and follow us. And what I will say is that the more people that you bring to the party, the more that we grow together. In closing, I want to thank everybody for taking some time out of everybody's hectic schedules around the holidays. We're excited to be able to share it with you. We're excited that you're on this journey with us. Please help us grow this. We can't do this without you. We're very excited to be a part of the journey with you. So thank you again.
Thank you, Walt.
Great job, guys. And thanks for all the compliments I'm seeing coming in. Trisha, Joe, saying you guys did a great job.
Yeah, we need to
Thank you,
hire
everybody.
Trisha and Joe as our press people.
All right,
And Gary, thank you, Gary. We really appreciate it. Well, that will do it tonight. Rachel, I'm going to leave you with the last word, and you're going to close us off.
Okay, well, I'm just super excited that we have something that is for the cannabis industry that everyone can participate in. We have some cool guys helping us understand how it works. I'm like super excited. So thanks for all your time. You know, I'm just like your biggest cheerleader.
One last thing I want to jump in on. One of the things we talked about doing was a contest, and I don't want to forget that. We probably had a lot of people that have been holding on, waiting on bated breath to hear about this contest we were going to run tonight.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yeah, Santa has arrived in the form of Walt.
So we're doing airdrops tonight, and for those people that have registered through the AMA, we're going to be doing taking those registrants, running them through a randomizer. We'll be videotaping that entire process and posting the winners to our Telegram after tonight's event. So we're going to have a first place winner who will receive 1,000 tokens of WeGro, and we will have a second place winner that will receive 500 tokens of WeGro. So thank you for all that have attended tonight. Thank you for registering, and good luck in being a winner. We appreciate you, and thank you for coming tonight.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much.